Hey everybody, it's the Commodore from the clan of the Grey Wolf. And you're watching the weekly Wringer here on clanofthegraywolf.com. So glad you could make it. We've got a lot going on today for the Wringer. So much to talk about. So many great things that you guys have brought to my attention. I really feel like we've connected about this social networking issue. Just something that brings us all together in this magical place that we call the internet. Okay, I can't keep this up. No, that's just not going to work. Anyway, I just wanted to make sure you guys are still awake. Play a little bit of, have a little bit of fun with some of the things that got put out there this week, which was a fantastic conversation. So, yeah, hope you enjoyed that. Maybe we'll do some more crazy intros like that at the beginning of other Weekly Wringer videos. But I wasn't lying. There's a lot to talk about today. So we've got, I got to wrap up the topic from last week about social media, specifically about Facebook, and the social networking element, and how fed up all of us are with that, or not at all. Which some of us, I guess, fit in both categories. And then I'm going to give you some of the things that I think about it. It's probably going to be dominated by some of my thoughts, because I happen to agree with many of you out there. A lot of very good contributions that I'm going to bring up my own little angle on. And then I want to ask you a question for next week, which is about an actual quandary that I have in my own life right now that I'm going to look for the help of the community for resolution for. So that's going to be this week. First things first, I want to say this. Several of you, I have really wrestled with this quite a bit since the beginning, and many of you know this if you've watched a lot of the Ringers that we've had in the past. The length of the videos. And you all know what my vision was and what things have become, but I'm gonna make a decision right here and right now about it. So many of you iterated during the course of the week that you wanted me to monitor the progression of the video less and maybe understand exactly, just focus more on making the point that needs to be made rather than looking at the time and trying to rush through something. Because the length of the video isn't what's certainly not going to keep you from posting and keep you from watching, which is what I've always been afraid of. So my promise to you moving forward is that I'm still going to pay attention to how long the video is, but I'm not at all going to try to handcuff anything. The conversation is just going to flow, and I'm not going to sit here and make disclaimers about the length of the videos anymore. I figure we've got a great, solid community out there right now. You guys are just really, I mean, I've been so impressed. We've had so many new people commenting. We've had just a great core group of folks that are just there every week, and I appreciate all of you so much. And I just thought, you know what? So many people said, don't worry about it. No one said, keep it to 10 minutes. Almost everybody that's commented about it has said, just keep talking, and if we find you boring, we'll turn it off. So there's my little spiel for you. If you find me boring, turn me off, and if you don't, well, just turn me on. Poor choice of words there. I apologize. Anyway, so no mas. I'm not going to talk about the length of the videos anymore in the Ringers, and for some of you, I'm sure that's very, very good news. Let's see. Moving right along. I'm very interested this week in talking about the question that I gave you for last week about Facebook, and specifically kind of the question is of Facebook as being kind of the center of the social networking world, which I don't think there's any question that it is. The question was, are you ready to move on? Do you feel like this is a step in an evolution to get to a different point with social networking? And what does that really mean if there is something that you're trying to move to? And if not, then what needs does maybe Facebook satisfy that you're not really looking to have satisfaction from anywhere else. You don't need 3 or 4 different social networking sites to be able to do all the stuff that you want to do and share the things with your friends and so on and so forth. So, lot of great comments on this, and I've got a few things to talk about, but honestly it's going to be in terms of contributions, but honestly I agree with so much of what was going on out there that that for me it just made sense to kind of just talk through it a little bit, and I think several of you will see where I maybe have my own little angle on some of the contributions that you guys gave. So I want to first start off by saying welcome to some of our new folks that I noticed this week. I've got, let's see, Lishida, and I think that's how I would say that, Lishida, L-I-C-H-I-D-A, Lishida. I'm going to go with that. Welcome. The Harmonixer, which was, I think that's a pretty, cool name. I like Harmonixer. That's nice. And also Yawaru is new to the community this week. Welcome to all of you. Glad to have you on board and hope you can be on board with the Wringer moving forward on a week-to-week basis and keep those comment counts and those view counts nice and high. That lets me know you guys really do watch the video and really do care about passing it around to people that you know. And that's how this great site of ours and all the things that we do on it really get around. So I want to say thanks for all that. Also thought it was kind of a great irony, before I jump into the conversation here, the great irony, which was pointed out by none other than our near and dear Rue, who spoke about this week was actually the first week we had implemented some widgets on the site for connecting with social media. So as you have seen on some of the content that you've probably watched thus far, you can actually go and click on any one of your social media of choice to be able to throw it out there and say, hey, I really enjoyed this and you guys should take a look at it. So I understand if you don't click a button with that, and I don't think I've ever clicked those buttons, nothing wrong with that, guys. You're not, no one's going to face my wrath because they don't share a video. That's completely up to you. But if you do want to share that with your friends and you think it's something worth kicking around, then please do click the button and share it with the folks. And that's how we get more people commenting. That's how we get better conversations. And that's how we keep this Wringer thing moving on. But I thought it was a great irony that the very week that I'm asking about social networking and Facebook, we are working to implement social networking right into the website. And maybe there is no coincidence with that, and I'm just deluding myself. Anyway, the point is there's some interesting connections there that we want to be able to share the site with people on social networking, even as we have some posts that are kind of bad-mouthing some social networking if you look around there. But anyway, so now to the contributions. I wanted to say first, Mr. K came back with a vengeance this week. Great summation of some of the history of Facebook. I watched the social network. I was more or less aware of some of the inaccuracies in it, but I have to say, Mr. K does a great job of really wrapping up, separating the fact from the fiction, just kind of telling a very, I guess, simplistic telling of the way Facebook came to be and the functions, this is the most important, the functions that it served over the course of its lifetime. And when you think about it, it's not that long of a lifetime. I mean, I know in technology it's eons, but in terms of the length of that business being available and commercially viable, which I'm still not 100% sure it actually is, over the long term, it hasn't been around that long, guys. And many of you commented that that you had only gotten onto Facebook or other social networking sites very recently. Completely understand that. Have many friends that could say the exact same thing. So I just wanted to point out, I thought that was a great history, and I wanted to thank Mr. K for that. Kato had a couple of comments, one that I wanted to talk about right off the bat, and that is that things have definitely changed with Facebook to the point where you can find kind of a niche inside of it. Does that make sense? So you have so when Facebook began, as Mr. K was talking about, it's kind of a college-centric thing. It's something that you could really use to connect, stay connected, and then probably, beyond that, there was a lot of kind of personal stuff. Finding out personal information about people. I mean, I know Zuckerberg even utilized at one point, illegally, used some of the data that he was collecting for Facebook, I guess at that time it was the Facebook, to be able to gain access to email addresses and things like that for whatever purpose. I don't actually know what the purpose was, but almost got in a lot of trouble for that. So, there's a lot of information that you're putting out there, and Hot or Not, and the face mash or whatever was the origination point for Facebook and everything moving forward. Just a crazy series of ideas, and things have definitely changed. Cato points to the idea now that the focus of Facebook in many ways can be used to do niche things, like keeping up with local events, right? Like keeping up with a certain group or some people that you're interested in keeping up with. Getting beyond a lot of that stuff is when I think we run into trouble with Facebook, because there's probably 100 different ways to utilize it, but there is a kind of core experience of Facebook, and I'm not sure that's going to serve the needs of the community moving forward, especially with something like what Cato's talking about in terms of it being kind of a local event tracker. I think there might be better ways to do that. I'm not sure I know exactly how, but I wouldn't be surprised if the next big thing in that regard is right around the corner. Now, I wanted to point to a comment by our own new commenter, Yowaru, who talked about Facebook, but I think this could really go to spread across every social networking technology across the board. It works exactly the same, and that is, it's really just the lazy man's personal site, right? And not personals, but personal site, right? People build, back in the early days of the web, people would build sites for businesses and for groups and organizations, and then you might have your own personal site where it's a site that you have and maintain for yourself. You'd have your own things that you're into and excited about, and maybe something that could help you professionally or otherwise in terms of resumes and things like that, just that people can kind of connect with you utilizing, right? And so that was very, very popular and almost necessary many years ago. And I think that that's really largely been taken out, just completely out of whack because of LinkedIn, Facebook, all the things that have come, Twitter after that. So, but I like the idea. One of the first things I said when someone told me to get on MySpace, which I thought was a joke, and kicking and screaming. I went kicking and screaming to Facebook too, so that's not a surprise. But is because I had the exact same idea. It's like, what is this? This is just a one-page personal website. Why can't I just build this myself? And honestly, you easily could. And MySpace was so infinitely customizable, and that became kind of a problem because of security weaknesses, because of songs and crap like that, that it just became something that was just, it just overreached itself, and it wasn't any longer just a personal website that was very easy to access. It just became this kind of mash of just stuff, and you couldn't sort through it very easily, and who knows, maybe things will completely turn around now that Justin Timberlake owns a piece of it, and I wouldn't put it past the dude. But MySpace, that was my first thought about it. It's just a lazy man's personal site. Let's see. Another thing Cato said I thought was really, really cool is highlighting the difference between social networking and socializing. Very important conversation to have in the context of what we're talking about here, guys. Because if we're talking about moving past the Facebook model as being the de facto standard of what we use for social networking, we have to begin to understand what it